Good evening. This is Walpole Conservation Commission meeting of April 23rd in person. And our first hearing this evening, we continued for the Warwick Road extension. Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission land disturbance permit in accordance with Walpole Stormwater Management Bylaw. It's hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to construct a proposed two-lot subdivision with associated driveways, utilities, and grading with over 40,000 square feet of disturbance at Warwick Road Extension, Walpole, Mass., map 56, lot 89 and 90. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission Office Room 212, Town Hall, 135 School Street, or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in Walpole Town Hall, FinCom Room, 135 School Street, on March 26, 2025, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested person request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. And do we have anything that needs to be, nothing? No. Okay, representing the applicant?
Good evening, Lou Petrosi for Wall Street Development Corp. So if you recall at the last time we met that we continued the hearing because we hadn't submitted a SWIP report that was asked of us to do that. We've since submitted a SWIP report in draft form. Unfortunately, Landis, I don't think, is of the opinion that it satisfies her the requirements. So I'm not quite sure how you want to handle it, but my view, there are basically two choices when you can condition this land disturbance permit on a formal SWIP report being submitted prior to starting construction, or we can continue this. And my understanding of the situation is that the SWIP report, we're not ready to start construction there. We're still going through some procedures with the planning board, so a little bit premature to require a SWIP report at this point. So we can either, the commission can either put that in as a condition, approve it with that condition, or we can continue this 60, 90 days down the road until we resolve our issues with the planning board.
Okay.
Can you have the drafts of that SWIP in there at all?
Landis?
Yep. So, the information that was provided to Mr. Petrosi at last hearings, as well as is in the approved regulations for the stormwater erosion control regulations, is if a project requires a stormwater pollution plan, a SWEP, per the MPDES general permit for stormwater discharges from construction activities, then the applicant is required to submit a complete copy of the SWEP, including the signed notice of intent and approval letter. If the SWEP meets the requirements of the general permit, it will be considered equivalent to the erosion and sedimentation control plan described in this section being 9. So those are the requirements that are in the regulations. They're not my requirements.
Which
They're requirements that were approved.
What regulations are you referring to? The local regulations?
The stormwater erosion control bylaw, which you are filing the land disturbance permit under.
Okay.
So it doesn't say draft. It doesn't say, and I understand that there may be somewhat of a disconnect between what contractors and developers, how they proceed with filing SWEP, that it's usually the contractor and not the developer when they're doing the permitting process. I understand that. So therefore, if that's what happens, then you should provide the information on your plan. And that's what I've pretty much consistently said.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Go ahead.
So I'm not disagreeing with anything that Land is saying. All I'm saying is that we're not ready to submit a formal SWIP at this time because it starts timeframe ticking, and we're not prepared at this point to start that. Second thing I would say is that, you know, as the commission knows, this plan has been reviewed as a notice of intent for the subdivision. It's been reviewed as notice of intents for each of the lots. Seems to me that the land disturbance permit is sort of like overkill at this point. I could ask the commission to waive that portion of the regulations if they see fit, but I'm not, what I would suggest, the more efficient way to do this is to, as I said earlier, is to either condition it, subject to receiving that information prior to starting construction or prior to having a pre-construction meeting, or we continue this down the road, 60, 90 days, so that if we get to a point where we're ready to start construction, we'll submit the information that you're, meet the regulation. But to me, the commission's reviewed this 100 different times, so.
Well, I think the requirement is there, and it seems to me that it would be, the best thing for the commission to do would be just to continue the hearing until that information is provided, whatever other things you have to go through, other boards or whatever else, until we have the completed information, rather than hold it, you know, as a tentative or a possible that we might get it. That's my opinion. So, Landis, you want to say anything else?
Just to clarify, it's a requirement separate and different from the Wetlands Protection Act.
Understood.
It's a requirement that came out from EPA and MS4 and DEP. It's not something that was just pulled out of the air. It's something that all towns in Massachusetts were required to adopt. And it is so that there is a valid stormwater erosion control plan in place prior to construction.
Right.
So it's not the SWEP, it's very similar information to the SWEP, but it's to bring it down to the local level during the permitting process.
I understand the distinction.
Okay. Julie, any comments?
I do not have any comments at this time.
Okay. Jessica?
Not at this time, no.
Bailey?
No comments.
Al?
I think it's important to wait until we have the decisions from the planning board and any other that has a say on this project, so, because it just means it would have to come back and reopen, and I don't think that's worth it, so let's continue it until we have everything on hand.
Betsy?
Yeah, what's the planning board date?
It's a,
You have a date with them?
we're in litigation. They've approved the plan with some conditions that we're not
So,
accepting.
but you don't actually have a date to see them again, planning?
No, this is up to the
See,
judge.
that's troubling, because, I mean, resolving issues with the planning board when you're not planning to see them again with a date, and when you're in litigation, just sounds too nebulous for us to go and waive something that is clearly a requirement.
Well, again, I'm not asking you, well, I didn't make a formal request for you to waive the regulation.
No, but you did use the word waive, but, yeah.
But you could have if you thought that that was the case. But the planning board issue is related to a couple of conditions that were not relevant to the commission, let's put it that way. And so
Fine.
we could have the choice at some point of providing all of the information that's required under your land disturbance bylaw, or we could, as we're thinking about right now, continue this until a date down the road.
Right, okay, so
60
I can
days.
follow through. Continue it until you've resolved something with the planning board. See, we don't usually encounter situations where the reason someone doesn't have a date with the planning board is because they're in litigation. So, I mean, it's actually kind of exceptional, and you don't really have a date when that's going to get all resolved.
Again, we have the choice of either submitting the information to comply with your bylaw and start the clock ticking, in which case, all right? Or we can continue to wait, because we don't really know, as you say, we don't have a date certain when the judge is gonna say yay and nay in our favor or whatever. He's already ruled in our favor a couple of times, so it's just a question of timing.
All right,
but-
so it doesn't sound like we're doing anything tonight then.
So what I'm, so I'm suggesting, as Al has indicated, that to re-advertise and go through this whole thing again would be not very productive. So the continuance seems to be something in line, maybe a 60-day continuance, and then we'll.
Okay,
carry
you're
on
suggesting
sometime in
June, end of June?
July. Yeah, June or July, something, whatever is convenient.
We have 2 meetings in June, 1 in July.
July's fine. I got a lot of stuff going on, so July's
Okay,
good.
so whatever that date would be in July.
Probably after the 4th, so it's,
Well, we need to state the date.
yes,
So that would be July 9th.
okay.
So, before we vote to do this, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none, someone make a motion to continue this hearing until 7 PM on July 9th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, can I
6-0-0.
ask, is this one of those things where the two new members cannot vote, or is it okay for them to vote to continue?
Well,
You can vote to
say they're
continue.
not included in
Well,
this.
okay, but voting to continue is not like voting on the whole project. Okay, fine,
Vote to continue.
okay.
Well, we have four,
Okay, I just wanted,
we have four anyway,
yeah,
so
right,
they're just
yeah.
two
Bailey was the
two
key.
extra not at
Bailey's
this
the key.
point. So I think the vote carries with the four.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next one. Have the book. Brook Lane. Thank you. Public hearing, Conservation Commission request to amend an order of conditions. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given intent of Wall Street Development Corporation to amend Order of Conditions DEP number 315-1233, Walpole Bylaw File number 2024-06-26 for proposed additional work in the riverfront area located at 7 Brook Lane, Union Square Village, map 20, lot 115, 119, 120, 137, within a 200-foot riverfront area and the 100-foot buffer zone. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission Office, Room 212, 135 School Street, or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person at the Walpole Town Hall, FinCom Room, 135 School Street, April 23rd, 2025, 7:05 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. Representing the applicant.
Good evening, once again, Lou Petrosi for Wall Street Development Corp. Cap a couple of things. We've gone through an initial request for invasives mitigation at the site down on off of Brook Lane, Union Square Village. At a prior meeting, the commission approved invasive mitigation, the pink area and the purple area. But for some reason, at that time, there was some confusion about the intended use of the walking path. And since that time, we've viewed it a little bit differently in terms of trying to expand the invasive mitigation, because it really is a problem down there. I'm going to hand out some photographs that you folks can share, and I'll go through them. Essentially, there's another package here that you folks can take a look at. But as you may recall, we proposed a walking path through the non-degraded riverfront area, which contains quite a bit of invasive species. We've broken this, if you're looking at the photographs, we have two areas highlighted in blue. Area 2, in this area here behind houses 12, 13, 12, and 11, and the walking trail area number 1, area 1. And what we're proposing to do is go into those areas and clean them out of the invasives and remove them as best we can from the roots out, so that we can create a nice environment for people for a walking trail through the non-degraded riverfront area. And according to the regulations, create an area that was for disturbance, for re-landscaping, that's highlighted in green on the plan. So it comes to the combined mitigation to disturbances like a 3-to-1, little over 3-to-1 ratio, which 2-to-1 is the requirement under the regulations. So this is our proposal. I think it's a pretty good, as you'll see from the photographs, it does really, the area is, particularly behind these homes here, is just a deluge of vines and cane and other invasive plantings that you typically wouldn't want in that area. And just so happens that it happens to be a riverfront area that that's involved. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if the commission has any questions. I'd like to discuss anything on it.
Did you go over what's going to be planted?
Well, I've specified we've specified this, excuse me?
Can you go over it?
I don't really remember what I said. But we're planting, I think we have over 100 plants that's scheduled to go in the blue area, or replanting along the, as we clean it out. And quite frankly, this whole area, particularly needs to be completely uprooted, all the vegetation that's there. We had started on the pink area a week or so ago, and we were planning on incinerating. We have a burn permit to incinerate all this material, but unfortunately, we weren't able to complete that process. It was determined that we should wait till DEP gives us their blessings, which I'm anticipating in a short time frame. So we were hoping to get this done before the stuff starts to bloom, but we're not sure we'll be able to do that. But I don't know what the plan
There's
is.
no chart of species or size or amounts on the plan. When you've
On this-
taken out everything.
We're not taking out anything over 4 inches.
You're going to be putting back.
Oh, what we're putting back, I'll leave that up to whatever's in the report that Ecotech revised, and up to the commission to see, what you want to have planted there. We're just looking to make it a more aesthetically pleasing area. So we're open to suggestions and recommendations as the commission sees appropriate.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Landis?
So this project for the newer members has been going on for quite some time. It has lots of ins and outs. And I provided a timeline of when permits were issued under this DEP number 315-1233. And it started with the Conservation Commission issuing an order of conditions. At that point, it was a 40B project, so all they had to file was under the Wetlands Protection Act. And the commission issued an order, and the applicant appealed it. But included in the order was the commission stated that there should be no more alteration of non-degraded riverfront area. Degraded riverfront area is the area of the site where there was a historic dump site, which we went out there with a consultant and looked over the area quite thoroughly. The remaining riverfront area was considered non-degraded riverfront area. And the commission said that they didn't want any more additional alteration of that. In addition to that, there was a plan to eradicate invasive species on 32,000 square feet of non-degraded riverfront area, which I think was that whole
Yeah, pretty
area,
much,
right?
yeah, the outside of that
Right.
blue area,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
And under 10.585G. The commission reviewed the site, we reviewed the regulations, and determined that, that it didn't meet the requirements of 10.5G. And that the riverfront area was a benefit to the river as is. And to go in there and eradicate invasive species would be disruptive. In addition to, there are other parts of the riverfront area that aren't on this property that's also loaded with invasives, and the chance that the invasives would come back was very high. The Oxbow report, which was submitted by the applicant, said that as well. They said they didn't think that an invasive species management plan would eradicate the invasive species. So when it was appealed to DEP, DEP issued an SOC, superseding order of conditions, and they allowed some non-degraded riverfront area to be used, but supported the Conservation Commission's decision on not eradicating the invasive species. And so that's in the superseding order of conditions, and I know there's a little difference of opinion and interpretation. But the SOC talks about the 32,000 square feet of area that is gonna be planted with 500 to 700 assorted plants. That's the reason why I asked what his plan was, because I don't see any plan. And then it said that the department concurs with these findings of the Walpole Conservation Commission when we said that it didn't comply with 10.5G. Additional, the department finds that the proposed mitigation plantings would not provide an equivalent level of environmental protection or an enhancement of the existing riverfront area. In the opinion of the department, the existing riverfront area is functioning in protecting the interests identified in 131, Section 40. That's the Wetlands Protection Act. Further, the department notes that the Oxbow Association Inc. Habitat Management Plan dated June 29, 2020, in discussing the invasive plant species management on page 3 states, in quotes, "It should be noted that because of the degree of infestation in the area and the length of time since the invasion, eradication of the plant population is highly unlikely. Therefore, the department finds that the invasive species management and native shrub planting proposed as mitigation will not, at a minimum, result in an improvement over existing conditions of the capacity of the riverfront area to protect the interests of the act." So I think that's pretty clear.
Well-
I know that the commission approved the 5,490 square feet along the river, and that's slightly different than what's being proposed here tonight. That's right up against the river, there's a lot of vines there choking out the trees, and I think everyone was looking at that as maybe, there could be an improvement even if you got the vines out. This goes further, and I provide the information to the commission of how the permits were issued in the past and what the commission's thought process was on it, as well as DEP's, because people have changed along the way.
Mr. Chairman?
And at this point, that's it. As well as the applicant has talked a lot about eradicating, but has not talked about what goes in next. Because I think that's the point, eradication.
Mr. Chairman?
That's
Go
it.
ahead.
I'm
May
done
I
for the
speak?
moment.
Because I think, Landis is referring to an application that was for a 40B project. It was for a 40-unit condominium project. That project, if she refers to the correct superseding order of conditions and the plan that's referenced in that superseding order, will show that that was for a multi-housing development where we wanted to trade off mitigation of 32,000 square feet for permanent use of non-degraded riverfront area for buildings, not for restoration. I think when you see the superseding order from DEP, you'll find that my version of the facts is correct, and you will, obviously, she's not telling you about her conversation today with DEP, but in our estimation, this mitigation is not consistent with the letter that was in part of the superseding order. So I'm not going to argue with the commission. We have the right to go in and do our walking path right now. It's an as-of-right use. If you want us to take care of the invasive area that is, you folks have all been there, you know what it's like. If you want to go there and allow us to do it, more than happy to do it. But to say that we're not going to improve the situation there is complete fallacy. You have the photographs that are there. You see the existing conditions. If you're saying that we're not going to improve that condition, I can't help you, okay? But we do have the right to go in there and do our walking path now. We'll do it. We'll do the area that's already been approved. And then we'll wait for a DEP to give us their blessings on the rest of the order, of the rest of the request for amendment. You can either participate or you can obstruct, basically. So I think it's a pretty clear-cut choice. Either you want it cleaned up and yeah, maybe we can't eradicate 100% because there are adjoining properties that have invasive species on it, and we don't have the ability to go on private property. But our intention is to install a privacy fence around here so that whatever is on other property is not going to be able to get onto our property once we've done our work. So there is changes or aspects to this plan that are not part of the original plan with the 40 condos, townhouse condos that were on there. But if you go back to the plans, I'm more than happy to do it. I'm not here to do it tonight, but I'm happy to go back and show you the plans, the iteration of the plans and the review by DEP on how they came to this conclusion. I'm happy to do that. But as far as what we're proposing, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's an enhancement, and we're capable of doing it pretty much as of right, basically. So,
Okay.
to the commission. Landis, why do you have to laugh? Why are you laughing? Well, it's not a joke.
Can I say one more thing, Chairman?
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
So I'd be happy to read the email that I received from DEP tonight. I'm not
Well,
trying to
go
hide any of that.
ahead, read it.
So, and I think I want to hear the commissioners' discussion, because some of them were here, and this DEP person wasn't, so. It just says, "Dear Landis, I interpreted the denial to be specific to the habitat plan denied at the time. The original plan was more generic and spread across the entire site. I believe was intended in part to be mitigation for the building that was to be located within the riverfront area at the time, and thus further exceeding 10% allowance of degraded area. That was denied and later revised in the first amended SOC. I agree that that happens, but that doesn't, the SOC specifically
I don't wanna-
speaks to the mitigation.
Yeah,
The current proposed plan is more specific to that corner of the parcel where invasives are pervasive in comparison to the other parts of the site. Mitigation for a path and landscape areas that do not create additional degraded area, and the department would be including the condition that prohibited further alteration of development of the 15,230 square feet mitigation area required under 10.585G. That was not part of the 2020 denial. The original report did find eradication would be highly unlikely. However, I did observe issues such as bittersweet killing trees and invasive vegetation overtaking the banks of the stream in the area already approved by the commission. That was already approved
Right.
by the commission, and that's not
but-
up for debate tonight. Where removal may be specifically significant in comparison to the rest of the site.
Right.
So I think it does actually support what I'm saying, partially.
Well,
So
partially.
I'm going to just rest my case now, and my information to the commission is just how this site was reviewed in the past and how the commission acted in the past, and
So-
I believe it's best to be consistent.
So, Mr. Chairman, one more thing, because
Go
I'm
ahead.
not here to argue because it really is not productive. But, you know, every step of the way, if you want to go back through the history of this with the degraded area and the filling and the dumping and all these things that the commission didn't agree with us, we went to DEP, we got superseding orders on every issue, and hence we have a project that we're building right now because of those superseding orders and the fact that there was a significant amount of degraded area on the property. Now, as you heard, DEP knows that the reason why the wording in that letter that Landis read to you was because of buildings that were going to be in non-degraded riverfront area that would be permanently altering non-degraded riverfront area. It's pretty clear, even reading how she read it, it's pretty clear that that's the case. So now, this application, this amendment is significantly different, as he's pointing out. There are significant issues there with invasive species and vines and other things that are growing, killing the trees. The trees are falling down. You look at the trees that are on the ground right now. Every time there's a storm, one comes down. So we just want to improve the situation there. And like I said, I'm confident about what DEP is going to write as a superseding order and amendment. So we can either participate or not participate. It's up to you. I know what I'm capable, I know what our rights are there, so. And of course, if there's always an appeal, if you want to go to court on it, we can go to court on it. So there's lots of options here. It's easier to do it this way, more practical, so.
Okay. Anything else to add, Landis?
No, don't.
Julie?
It's an awful lot, like, an awful lot of space back there, right? I mean, I just feel like, this idea of not creating more degraded area, is that an issue? Along it's Trap Hole Brook, right?
No,
Is that the riverfront, or?
This is riverfront area to Pickerel Brook, which is
Ah,
a tributary
Pickerel
to Trapple Brook. so,
Okay,
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if I understand your question. So the degraded riverfront area is the area where the development is occurring within the riverfront area where the houses are more or less in that
like
orange
11,
area.
12, like inside that orange loop, like 11,
Right,
12,
It's
13.
right. So that was determined early on.
was
So
on.
this area that Wall Street Development wants to create the path and eradicate invasive species and create residential landscaping is in the non-degraded
see.
riverfront area. So it's currently treed and vegetated.
And why can't it just stay that way?
Well, you saw the photographs, did you not?
Right.
Okay, so we're not planning on clearing any trees of significance. We're planning on clearing the invasives
That's choking the trees?
that's choking the trees and the honeysuckle that's there, which you can see are they grow about.
I know, I just love walking through the honeysuckle, I'm
Oh, you do, well.
it's so smelly.
So I don't think,
Sorry.
I don't think it's going to be a place where we're going to continue to be able to offer a walking path through that area without clearing a significant amount of that along the path. So,
And
and the trees that have fallen on the ground that you see.
And this orange pathway goes right through the development?
No, this orange right here is
Yeah.
the bordering river, this
Oh,
is the
that's the
20-foot river.
border.
The blue area is the area that we're talking about, creating
Okay.
the walking path and eradicating the invasive species, whatever they may be, inside that area. So some of it is dead
Yeah.
debris,
Right.
as before you were on the meeting, there's areas where there's been dumping there that it's debris that's on the
Right,
surface
that was
we've
mentioned.
that we've agreed to not request more degraded riverfront area in exchange for this process. So we are planning on going in there and excavating that area out of the stuff that's there, that's dumped material. But also along these areas, there's a lot of vines and there's a lot of cane and, well,
Yeah.
the photographs speak for themselves, I don't have to explain it, but it's not considered to be, if this were anywhere else,
Wild and natural and,
it's wild and could continue to grow uncontrolled through the area. So that's really kind of what invasives
I understand
species
that.
are, so, that's really the proposal.
Lou, sorry, just to clarify, so the orange line is
Yeah.
the border of the riverfront area. The white area where the buildings are is is the degraded riverfront area that's been approved to build on, to develop. The green, purple, blue, and pink areas are all non-degraded riverfront area that have been requested to either be a blue area and the pink area to remove the invasive species, the green and the purple area to remove the invasive species and have it more as a residential
Landscape.
landscaped area.
I see.
So all those colored areas are areas that have been requested to change from non-degraded wild riverfront area to some sort of mitigation or landscaping.
Okay.
Correct?
Just about.
Okay, that's, yeah.
That's the first-
I'm
Okay.
glad I can help you present your plan.
Thank you.
We're all in this, it's a team effort.
Anything else? Julie?
No, thank you.
Jessica?
I just had a question because I'm not up on my shrubbery. Honeysuckle, does that have a suckering habit? Is that how that spreads? Does it sucker?
Honeysuckle, how does it spread?
Seeds,
Yeah, it spreads through
Roots?
the roots, expanding.
So I'm just
Also
thinking.
makes seeds that
the
birds
seeds,
like.
yeah, the seeds are primarily the culprit.
I'm just thinking, 'cause I know a lot of invasives, that's why they are so hard to get rid of, is because the roots spread. And I'm just wondering, if you clear it on the side of the fence, then you're gonna have this fence there. What's gonna keep it from just coming back under the fence?
Well, we've, under our previous proposal, we have a 3-year bond that we're going to continue to manage this thing for 3 years and eradicate it on a regular basis to keep that situation from reoccurring.
For 3 years?
Yeah, the pink area,
Pink area.
and the purple area if
Only that,
anything's coming up.
only-
So
yeah.
that was what was approved before. Now, typically, if you go through the files, we had a report from Environmental Oxbow Associates, and they recommended cutting them and then painting the stems so that they didn't grow anymore. But what we're proposing is to go in there with a little mini, it's about 2 feet wide and about 3 feet, with a little bucket to take the roots right out of the ground and take the whole plant out, and then fill it back in with some loam and plantings.
My concern, though, is that there's going to be honeysuckle on both sides of the fence.
Say that again?
If there's honeysuckle on both sides of the
Yeah,
fence, then,
again, I can't solve every problem, but I mean, we're gonna try to limit it as best we can. And I think we'll know if it's going back underneath the fence, because we'll be there maintaining it.
So I do have one more question about what would go in there in place of that,
Well,
to keep things, you know,
we've presented in our package a planting, I don't think it's a detail, but we've proposed a
Just-
number of plants. The Ecotech report proposes a number of plants and types of plants that would be planted either along the trail. I mean, it's a proposal. In the first section, we're planting, 60 plants
Oh,
in
the
the
list.
pink area.
the chart.
And then in the other areas, we're proposing another 100 plants.
And originally you planted 500, you proposed 500 to 700 plants.
But
And that was
I
denied.
understand, but that was because we were trying to build 2 extra units in 2 other buildings. I mean, you gotta,
But the purpose was, the purpose was still the same. The purpose was to eradicate invasive species and to create an additional benefit to the riverfront area,
So-
regardless of what
All right, so what do
the
you
development was getting for that purpose. I
So-
think that's a really key point.
so what you're saying is that if we were proposing 600 plants, this would be okay with you? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just
Okay.
pointing out a fact.
Okay, well, this is a different plan than before. Before, we were proposing 40 condos versus 15 houses. It's a totally different thing, and we're not proposing to permanently disturb non-degraded riverfront areas. So we're not getting the same benefit as if we were trying to do something that was beneficial to the same riverfront area. So if the commission wants to increase
The
the,
commissioners were actually trying to speak.
Well,
okay, well, you responding to
Lou
you.
was speaking, go ahead, finish up.
So if the commission wants to add a condition for additional plantings that is reasonable, certainly they have the ability to do that as a condition of the approval. But,
Okay.
I don't know, it just seems to me that there would be some type of way of looking at what you're taking out, you know, and whatever, you know, the levels of nutrients, oxygen, whatever's keeping things going there and making it, you know, clean and healthy, that whatever you put in place of that needs to do that plus more, because you've already disturbed it. You're gonna disturb it, and you're gonna lose stuff. When you disturb any soil, you know stuff goes.
I
So it's
think,
like you gotta put back tenfold what you took out.
yeah, so.
That's
I
what
think,
I mean.
you know, it might be helpful if you took a walk down there, and I'd be happy to show it to you, because what you're describing is not what's there.
Yeah.
Most of what's there is dead. So,
Yeah,
and the
but
trees
even
that,
things that are dead decompose and things, you know.
fine, you wanna
know?
leave them there with practically, we can
I'm
leave
just
them there,
saying
but,
that.
but the other stuff that's growing is dead too. So, if you,
Grow and be dead at the same time.
well, you cut through the middle of it, you'll see it's hollow.
Okay. Jessica, do you have anything else?
no.
No, okay. Julie, anything more?
No, thank you.
Okay. Bailey?
My only comment is that I agree with Landis and the consistency of where we were before, and the ask just seems to keep growing, so that's it.
Okay. Al?
Well, let's clarify something here. Most honeysuckle that's growing wild in this area is an invasive species. It's not the nice things that some people think honeysuckle is, so. So I think that probably the stuff that's there is an invasive species anyway. So I'm not against digging it up or cutting it down or whatever. In fact, I think you'll find that the stuff that's growing in this area is not legally for sale anywhere. The stuff that's legally for sale is pink, and the stuff that's growing there, I'm pretty sure, is yellow and white. So there's a difference. Just because it has the name honeysuckle doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Okay, and the key to this whole thing here is, well, once you cut this stuff, unless you do something to prevent it from regrowing, it's going to come back. And therefore, a long-term plan is necessary to keep it under control. So I think we have to do something there, but I'm not sure we sterilize the whole area. And I'm not sure I've heard how somebody can propose to do this with any idea of it working out on a long-term basis.
Okay,
Yeah.
Betsy?
All right, I think I have 4 points. One is I appreciate Landis working very hard on this chronology, because this has been going on since 2020. And it's tough when you've got a commission in which we don't have perfect continuity, so people are just being introduced to this tonight. But this has been going on for 5 years. And Landis, I think, did a great job of outlining the consistency over the 5 years, both from us and from DEP, and from all sorts of experts, that this should not be going on in the non-degraded riverfront area, that a 3-year invasive mitigation program is not going to be a long-term useful thing. I mean, we know this if we've ever had Japanese knotweed in our yard or bittersweet. You don't just go, well, 3 years is up, I think I've wicked that. I really appreciate the perspective we got from the chronology. If you want to build a path by right, go ahead, but I think one abutter a few weeks or months ago said, you got Bird Park right down the street. I mean, it's like, why you'd want to go on a 200-foot path, I don't know. And as for the material that's been dumped there over the years, that has to be cleaned up anyway. That's in the order of conditions, I think.
Well-
Am I wrong about that, Landis?
Yes.
The dump, I'm wrong about it?
No, you're right.
Okay, so that shouldn't be conflated here. I mean, it's like, some bricks lying around, yeah, you've got to clean that up. Plants that are in a non-degraded riverfront area, no. Over the 5 years, over and over again, that's what we've been getting.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I say just one last thing, and then I'll let you guys do it. So it seems to me that we should wait for DEP to give us their superseding order, and then decide on whether or not the commission wants to follow that superseding order or deny under the bylaw, which I think is crazy, but if you deny it under the bylaw, then we have the right to appeal it to wherever. So I think I would request that we continue this for 30 days or whatever until DEP gives us their superseding order, which I think is imminent. And you folks.
Amended.
Excuse me? Amended superseding order.
Just an amendment
It's
to
an
the
amendment.
original
Yes,
superseding order.
I understand it, Landis.
Oh, okay, then I'm just correcting you because you're not saying it correctly.
Okay, I'm
so
sorry,
no
appreciate it. But
For the
I would say that that's probably more prudent than just to make this a clear-cut because you seem to be relying on DEP's supposed expertise on their first ruling, but don't want to acknowledge what their opinion may be for this particular proposal. So it seems to be a double standard there, so.
Your suggestion is, makes sense to me, that wait till we get what the DEP's
Right.
amended ruling is on the amendment. Before we decide on a
Oh,
closing
abutters.
date, we have
Abutters.
anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, please identify yourself for the record. And if you come up to the microphone and also sign the sign-in sheet, please.
All right, my name's Stephen Barrows. I live at 189 Union Street. I'm a direct abutter to the property, as you can see. I do want to thank all of you for your service and time, and Landis for doing what she does to try to find justice in any potential situation when it comes to conservation here. I honestly think the walking path is enough's enough, honestly. I think that's just a stretch as it is. I do own a portion of that side of the brook. It's never been recognized by Mr. Petrosi. He's never staked my land correctly to show that I do own a portion of the brook on the opposite side, on the side of the actual pathway. If you look clearly, it's very visible. I completely objected to this dog walking path, and unfortunately, I wasn't here at the last meeting because I did not receive the mailing until it just remarkably showed up in my mailbox on April Fool's Day, not even stamped through the post office. So I got the notification for the meeting in February, 1 week before I got this one. Otherwise, I would have been here to raise my objections to the pathway. At this point, I'm fine with the pathway, except for the fact that when I discussed things with Mr. McManus, when they were removing some of the vines, and I questioned why is there no protective border to protect the brook and the invasive species, the vines, from getting in the brook and carrying on down. He said, don't worry about it. They're supposed to remove the cuttings as they go. Currently, there's 3 massive piles of cuttings just sitting there. It's been over a week. The tree guy himself told me that, don't worry about it. We're going to cut this down in 3 years. Less than that, it's going to come back. There's no stopping these vines. The pathway is the pathway. I understand it's too late to do anything about that. But the blue area is a major stretch, a major stretch. I've lived in this street, in this house for 20 years. Trees don't just fall down during storms. There's some old trees out there, but they do provide cover for a lot of ground animals. Don't forget, it is a little bit of nature back there, and it is beautiful to me. He does mention aesthetics quite a bit, and that's the aesthetic appearance of his potential buyers when they're at that house, $1 million plus house, that they're 10 feet apart, and they're looking behind them, and they see some vines, which you will never eradicate, believe me. I've given up on it. I respect the wetlands in my backyard. I have nothing but the natural vines and ground cover, blackberries, blueberries growing. And Mr. Petrosi himself does say that. It's an eyesore and doesn't understand how I could ever live like that, first of all. So it's nothing but an eyesore to him. And I do appreciate him volunteering to come and clear the vines. But we would rather have you not do it, both Ann and I, who are direct abutters in that blue area. In fact, that round area on the top portion of the blue is Ann, and that blue area is behind me. I do have pictures of everything on my phone to show you. It's not as bad as he's making it out to be. And there's no stopping it, believe me. There's no stopping the vines. Let me see, the other thing is that this whole time that he's talking about doing us a favor and clearing out this, this non-degraded area, there's not one bit of protection for the wetlands from his development, which is about 8 feet elevation above these wetlands. There's not one absorbent sock. He's removed the orange fence, a portion of it, that shows the area not to impede on. I have pictures of that. Now, you're talking about an elevation of 8 feet above the wetlands, and there's been runoff constant into the wetlands. He has not put one absorbent sock, so I don't believe him when he says he's gonna plant the appropriate trees and do the necessary work to get rid of the vines, which is a significant amount of work to do, and a significant amount of plantings, and a long-term, multi-year, 10-year plus maintenance plan would be required, which I don't trust will occur. To clear that beautiful backyard, just for the aesthetic purposes of selling the property, he did his job when, on the land where those houses are. That land was contaminated by Bird and Sons Roofing. There was asbestos on that property. He cleared that. He got his land. He's built his houses. That blue area has had no dumping by Bird and Sons, and it's been proven. Let's just leave it alone. It's been there since 1954. I've been there 20 years. We love it. We love our neighborhood. It doesn't bother us. All it does is bother him, his aesthetic vision of these multi-million-dollar houses that he's building. And the walking path, second of all, if he does clear that area, of course he's gonna have to put a fence. Because otherwise, who's gonna know where my land ends and where their land ends? My land begins and where their land ends. So we're gonna have people coming up to the brook in my backyard with their dogs. Are you willing to put up a fence and pay for it?
We're proposing a fence there, yes.
What kind of fence?
Well, we haven't decided yet,
Yeah,
but it's
that's-
gonna be a very nice fence, I would say.
Sure. I like the woods personally rather
Well,
than
I
the
can put up a
fence.
chain link fence there, then you can see the woods.
I am very pleased with the way it is. You'll never stop those vines.
Okay.
I'm very concerned about the surveying and staking of the property. I don't trust it. He has not staked the front left corner of my property, which is essentially the right here. So everything else is staked in my backyard, with the exception of anything around here. And I did say to one of the tree guys that was clearing that, you know that you're standing on my land right now, because my land cuts right across on this side of the brook. So this is my property here, then there's the brook, and I do own a strip of that land. It doesn't really offer me much, that land. But it's just been one thing after another with developers. Just, they seem to be wanting just to expand from that little strip and just destroy the rest of our neighborhood. And of course, I do have video of Mr. Petrosi out marking trees, and then the very next day, a tree guy showing up in the rain, cutting trees down in the wetlands. And then also, have we determined what sort of access that walking path is gonna have? Is it open to the public? Can I walk my dogs on it? Is it gonna say private property? Is it going to be limited to the residents behind, in his development?
Private property.
So no one from Union Street can walk up that path?
Nope.
And you don't think it'll happen?
Well, listen, we're on the honor system.
Are you gonna put lighting there?
Not sure, we haven't gotten
It's
that
gonna be
far yet.
restricted to daytime use only?
Not sure.
Well, you're building the pathway, it'd be nice to know.
I'm
You've already started clearing it,
happy to talk to you about whatever
and there's
is bothering
multiple
you.
piles of these invasive vines the size of this desk sitting there for over a week.
Yeah.
And Mr. McMahon has said that they were to be cleared that day. So I have a hard time really believing anything you have to say or promise.
Okay,
All I
keep
ask
your-
for, sir, is
keep
please
your
leave our
comments-
woods alone. Please leave our woods alone.
Okay, just keep your comments to the subject at hand without any personal issues.
No, I agree with that. All I ask for is that I really think the walking path is a stretch. I'm willing to accept that, but that blue area, it should be left alone. It's been fine, and it's gonna be fine, hopefully, for another generation. And it is filled with wildlife, too. And if anyone would like to come to my property and take a tour with me and get a different perspective than Mr. Petrosi's, I'm happy to accommodate that at any time. And I'm not a public speaker, scared to death being up here. I didn't even want to have to do this. He's well-versed in this stuff. But I can tell you that that area is loved, and there is a lot of wildlife. See 10 deer there at a time. There's beaver in that brook. I mean, beaver, I see it. It's a beautiful area, and taking that blue out, it literally will kill all of us, so. Once again, thank you very much for your service to the town. And please take what you can from my comments, as scattered as they may seem, but it's from my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else want to address this issue? Please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I just make one more comment? It is in my report, and it does go by what Mr. Barrows was saying, that the commission did issue the bylaw order of conditions on March 27th, and Mr. Petrosi was told that he couldn't move forward on that until he got his amended SOC from DEP. And he did contract tree cutters to come out, and they started already. I went out twice to stop them, and once because there was cutting occurring during the rainy season, which one of the conditions is you don't want to work next to the resource area, and it's not wetlands, it's a riverfront area in the rain. And the next time was when there was a group of people out there beginning to cut the vegetation. So and eventually he did stop, but it took 2 times, reminding that even though he had a bylaw order, amended order, he didn't have a superseding order of conditions, and you have to have both.
And just so I may add, so the reason the piles are still there is because you told us to stop, correct?
Cutting.
Well, you still stop working. Stop working means stop working. So anyways, I've made my request to the commission to continue the meeting until we get the amended superseding order from DEP. And then you guys can decide what you want to do after that. I'm pretty confident of how DEP is going to
When are they going to give us that
rule
date?
on this.
Do you have,
So
what date do you recommend that we continue to?
30 days, I mean, it's too late for us to go in there now. Landis has stopped us, so the stuff is gonna get overgrown again, and so we probably won't be able to do this until next spring. So, unless the commission grants us permission to continue with the work, notwithstanding the superseding, since you've already approved the pink area to be eradicated, it would make more sense for us to be able to go in there and continue it at this early stage before it goes into full bloom again. And let's clean that area up, and we'll be incinerating the material on site. We have a burn permit from the fire department. And let us do that work and get it cleaned up. It's, whether or not DEP issues an amended order on this is really kind of a moot point. They're gonna
So
support
if we
this.
continue this for, what would that be? May, what is it? May 28th?
Sure, it's good as any.
Do we have anything on?
Yes, there's a 7 o'clock of Pinnacle. Hey, another one of your projects.
Beautiful, I love
May
it.
28th. You're on for 7 PM for that one.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
so
also
we'll
in
make this
Bellingham,
at,
And
7,
so, yeah, so that works. If we
I'm
get,
sorry, what did you
7:10?
say, Jack? I can't hear you.
7:10.
7:10.
and if we don't have the superseding order by then, we'll just continue it to the next meeting, that's all.
Okay, so someone make that a motion
So
to,
moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
600. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, before I leave, can I just broach one subject? I know Pinnacle is coming up on May 28th, but I'm asking the commission, since we have a couple of new members on the committee, to do a site walk between now and the 28th of May before the invasive species grow so that you can't really walk through it. So just offering that as a suggestion, if you want to discuss it amongst yourself. It would be a good idea to get out there and walk it, the Pinnacle site. You've been out there, and Jack's been out, I mean,
Yeah,
Paul's been out there,
we'll,
but the rest of the members haven't.
we'll consider your suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Where'd you golf today, Jack?
Pardon?
Where'd you golf?
At home. At my home. I own the golf course, did you know that?
See you later, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, okay, I'm sorry to keep harping on this. Can the two new, I don't mean about the continuation, but can they actually vote on, oh, it's an amendment, so they can?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
sorry, good, all right, just checking.
It was a new public hearing. for
Okay,
a
it was
new
new.
amendment,
That's what it
so
said,
you're
new.
good to
It
go.
said new.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Figure we're good.
even though it's got 5 years of history?
Yeah.
Fine, got it.
This is new as well. I'll study that.
Public hearing, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission Notice of Intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent of Richard Shields to construct proposed expansion of an existing parking area along with associated drainage located at 505 South Street, map 47, lot 114, 114-1, within the 100-foot buffer zone. The application and plans will be viewed at the Conservation Commission office, room 212, 135 School Street, or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person at the Walpole Town Hall, FinCom Room, 135 School Street, April 23rd, 2025, at 7:10 PM. All interested person requests will be present. So, representing the applicant, I don't know if they have anything to read here? What do we got? Board of Health, at its April 15th meeting, voted unanimously, the Board of Health has no concerns. This is from Town Engineer. The office has reviewed the drawings and the report. Okay, the comments he had provided to the planning board based on March 4th plan set have been addressed. I've reviewed the stormwater report with the agent, and we also have found that to be in order. No objection to approval, subject to any final concerns of the agent. You were aware of this?
I am.
Okay. Okay, representing the applicant?
Dan Merrickin with Legacy Engineering. Good evening. The site is located at 505 South Street, which is the Tufts Vet Hospital on South Street. Existing building, existing parking lot, shown here in gray and white. There's an existing stormwater basin down here. The site has BVW, which has been flagged. No work is proposed in BVW. It has bordering land subject to flooding below elevation 183. No work is proposed in bordering land subject to flooding. And the 100-foot buffer zone kind of clips across the corner of the parking lot here. The rest of the site is outside of the buffer zone. The applicant proposes to put an additional parking area behind the rearmost parking lot. About 24 spaces. They're short on parking. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but there's people parked all over the place. They really need additional parking. So again, the buffer zone line is here, so this part of the parking lot's all outside the buffer zone. There's a little bit of the beginning part of the parking lot in the buffer zone. we've provided a stormwater report that basically demonstrates that with a modification of the outlet pipe, the existing stormwater basin is adequate to accommodate the additional flow. So we have a catch basin proposed and a sediment forebay proposed so that we can achieve the 44% TSS removal. And then all we really need to do is just put a cap on this existing 12-inch outlet pipe and modify the configuration of the outlet, and we're able to reduce peak rates of runoff in all design storms. We have erosion controls proposed around the limit of work, and that's about it. There's no work in the 25-foot buffer. We have plaques proposed along the work area. I have had a number of discussions with Landis about this site. We added a note on the existing condition sheet to have sediment removed from the existing stormwater basin. We made some changes that I submitted earlier today, basically addressing the town engineer's comments, which were mostly kind of technical stuff that had to do with the planning board, some changes to details and things like that. The fire department asked for some bollards and a wood guardrail over here. Nothing really in the buffer zone. The one thing that Landis did note is that there is currently a dumpster in a parking space right here. It's not in a fenced-in enclosure. There's an existing fenced-in dumpster enclosure over here. So I talked to the owner, and what we'd like to do on the revised plan is basically just take this parking space here and add that to the existing fenced-in dumpster enclosure and just make it a larger fenced-in enclosure so that the two dumpsters can be accommodated in there. So that's it. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Landis?
I did go out to the site and walked around the wetlands line and found it to be accurate. And I noticed some trash in the woods area, so hopefully once the dumpsters are fenced in and closed up, that won't happen. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, and the owner's already asked his landscape contractor to clean up the trash. That might have been done today. And they have scheduled cleaning of the catch basins. He tells me that will be done next week.
Do they have a regular maintenance plan for you guys?
I will ask him to create a scheduled plan for the cleaning of the catch basins.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's I didn't look it up, but I'm sure there was an O&M for the original basin, except it was quite a while ago. that
Well, the
they-
original basin goes back to the early 2000s. But we've had there's an O&M plan in our package, and from a prior parking lot expansion, this is a recent addition, relatively last 5 or 7 years, 2018, 2019.
I thought there was something, because I kept on going out there, I was like, I know I've been here before.
Yeah.
Other than when I brought pets there, but.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just tell you, DEP says clean catch basins 4 times a year. It's ridiculous. I've monitored catch basins in streets, and they usually barely require cleaning once a year. But I think they should go out there and at least check them once a year.
Right, I agree, they should be reviewed, and then I think 50%, no more than 50% sediments in it
Yep.
before you clean them out. So those have all been addressed, and I did talk to the town engineer, and he's happy with his stormwater system that's in existence, and then the stormwater management that you're proposing. There's a very large wetlands next to this site, so it's not going to impact any abutters, even if it doesn't qualify for the land disturbance permit where we want to design for volume and rate. So the new is not designed for volume, but because there's such a large wetlands there, it really isn't going to impact anything, so
Yeah, this
it's
is
fine
all-
as well.
It's all wetlands.
This is all wooded area.
Yeah.
This
And
is
then
private
ponds,
property.
it's got-
This is town property. But this is all wooded in here. This is the Neponto
So
River.
did they do an A&R to get additional property from La Russo's to
Yes.
expand this parking lot? I thought, because I was looking at the whole
Yeah,
plan, I was like,
they-
wait a minute, how are they fitting this in?
They
So-
did an A&R, so the applicant bought 30,000 square feet
Yeah.
from LaRusso from this piece, and we added it to this site,
Okay.
just for that.
All right, yeah, so the only additions is, so the maintenance O&M should be regularly applied, and I think I would recommend a condition that we get an annual report, which
Yes.
we've been putting in for a while, and we will try and regularly prompt, especially commercial venues and larger venues, to get those reports to us. It also hooks into the MS4 requirements in the stormwater. That's it. That's the only comments I had.
Okay. Julie?
I have no questions or comments at this time.
Jessica?
Looks great. Nope, it looks good.
Bailey?
So Dan, on your Plan C2, I'm looking at your snow storage areas.
Yep,
Is that for the whole parking lot or just for that?
that's
Back
just
that
for this,
new-
that's just for this addition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
That's it.
Al?
First of all, what kind of business is this?
It's the Tufts Veterinary Hospital.
Okay,
It's been there for a long time now.
I wasn't sure. And then the second thing is, on the lower part of this page, you have two dotted lines, but no label telling us what they are. Are they the riverfront?
They are the riverfront area. I apologize for that.
I think
Yep.
they should be labeled.
This, you're right. This is the outer riparian zone. This is the inner riparian zone.
Okay. That's the only question I had.
Okay. Betsy?
Nope, no comment.
Okay. Seeing no one in the audience, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
6-0. Okay.
Yeah.
Standard order of conditions plus the
That's great, Sarah Swan.
stormwater report. Stormwater maintenance report. And to pick up all the trash that is now in the woods. Anything else? Do you have anything else to add? Okay, so we'll make that a motion for the order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, I can pick that up whenever it's ready. Thank you. Have a good night.
We have any, don't have anything else to sign here, vote on, right? I don't see anything. Is there,
You do have to sign,
just
the one you just voted on.
oh, this one, yeah.
Yep.
Nothing
Come
else,
through.
nothing new. No,
Thank you for saying that word.
glad I could bring it up.
Chair, was just gonna bring the, commission up to speed on, under enforcement orders and non-compliance. There is 1446, 1454 Main Street, McNamara Holding LLC, which is on the agenda. And they're not here tonight. I just wanted to bring up to the commission that I had issued a violation notice because they were, out on the site washing, trucks. It's a commercial site, so they're washing trucks, and the soapy water was, flowing off the site and down Main Street or 1A, and that's an illicit discharge under our illicit discharge bylaw. So I let them know that they couldn't do that, and if they were gonna proceed with washing trucks on site, they needed to have a tight tank on site and a drain where the soapy water would go into the tight tank and not down the street and into the wetlands or the town's stormwater system. In addition to that, there was some bins on site, a large pile of loam. The bins consisted of some road tailings, grindings, and other stuff. There's a pond to the rear of this property. It's near Bristol Square, I think is what it's called. So there was,
No, but I have had my eye on this place for a while. I drive by it.
Yes,
This is the
a
one
couple
I've been
times.
meaning to mention to you, yeah.
They came before the
Was it behind the
conservation.
Bristol Square, so you can see it
Yeah.
from, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's on
Yeah.
Main Street.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But Bristol Square is behind, and
Yeah.
the pond's kind of in between the two.
Yep,
And they filed a notice of intent back in 2021, under DP 3151212. They were going to take down the old building and put a new building in and have separate areas within the building. The commission issued the order of conditions. One of the conditions was no outside storage. So I know they didn't move forward on the order of conditions, but the commission had concern at that point in time about outside storage. And now they had outside storage and no order of conditions, so I brought that up to them as well. The guy was very easy to talk to on the phone. I explained he should file a notice of intent for any work he wants to do outside, as well as if he's gonna put a tight tank in, and he's working towards that. So I didn't feel like he had to come in and explain this to the commission, because he's working very well under the violation notice, so I didn't feel an enforcement order needed to be issued at this point. If it doesn't progress, then I'll take additional steps. So that's under enforcement order, I just wanted to bring that.
Landis, did you see the back of the property? Like where, was anything spilling over? Because they had a wall, then they removed the wall, and the wall in between their property and the Bristol has a whole bunch of stuff that's fallen.
I'll take a better look. I didn't go on the property because the person I talked to on the property was washing the vehicles, was
Yeah.
not very receptive to me.
Sure, yeah.
But I did look at aerials, but I can visit the site and maybe ask, Mr. McNamara to meet me on the site and go over some things that could be cleaned up now.
Awesome, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Anything new on 120, 126 South Street?
So they're progressing with the outside work, with the installing the subsurface stormwater system, which they have to put in, and then backfill before they can do really any of the plantings to the rear. I know we were hoping that they would be moving quicker, so they could get the trees and the plantings required under the enforcement, but they are moving forward.
Okay. See, on, for pond management, are you talking about Turner's Pond?
So as far as Turner Pond, I've been going by the pond almost every day just to check out the level. The pond is definitely significantly down, and we've had a fair amount of rain, and I think we're going into a drier season. It seems like we will have rain, I think, one point this week. But I thought it was safe enough to ask the DPW to put in a board. So they're gonna go clean out the dam at the inflow. Inlet, and then they will put in a 6-inch board, I think probably by the end of this week. They're a little short-staffed right now, they'll get to it as soon as they can, so that'll bring the pond up. But I think we've been doing the right thing so far, because it's good to have storage just in case, especially in the spring. So that's why we're keeping it where it was at the time. I dredged up, there's a Turner Pond management plan that the commission and I put together back in 2012. If you want to revisit that at next meeting, we're very light on the agenda. I could have that available for you.
yeah.
Yeah, we can look at
Good
it.
idea.
I think that might be a good idea, and we can reinforce our comments.
Then I think Sarah had handed out, I don't have one for everyone because I'm trying to save the paper, but for the new members, we had talked about these signs for the new Bullet Pond Trail. out on North Street. And just before I give the go-ahead for them to print these things, I just want to make sure the commission is happy with them. This sign is 24 by 18, so 2 feet by 1.5 feet. I had a couple of people in my office read it, and they made suggestions, which are on the sheet here, where it says no defacing or removing of signs, trees, trail markers, building, trash containers, benches, picnic tables, ramps, walls, or other, and to put in items on property, rather, other property, it's a little awkward the way it was written before. And then down below, I know we had talked about this, so I don't know if you want to include in the fines, it says fines up to $100. Do you want to put per day, or you want to just leave it?
If we're allowed to put per day, I mean, Doug would be thrilled. But are we allowed to just go per day? Can we do that?
Well, it says may result in.
Yeah, may, but I mean, can we just throw the per day in? See, that's what I
Well,
wasn't sure we could.
We should know whether it's
We
enforceable.
just want to leave it as is, $100.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely idea, I just don't know if we can, why not $5,000 a day, can we do that? No.
I don't
You know, it's like-
think so. I think it's similar to the fines associated with the bylaw, that you have the right to fine
Oh,
for,
really?
on property.
Okay.
If they violate it one day, they get fined. If they come back and violate it another day, they can get fined again. Am I understanding that right?
If you
How
put
is
per
that?
day.
Yeah, how is that worded?
Could be a moot point.
So right now, it's just violation of these rules and regulations may result in fines of up to $100. What's suggested is up to $100 per day.
Per day per violation.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness gracious.
Ooh, Doug would like that.
it per day
I'd pay attention, I'd pay
All right,
attention.
all right.
That's what, I mean, OSHA gets to do that, but I don't know if we get to do that.
And this is what our other violations of Wetlands Protection Act is. We can fine up to $300 per day per violation.
Yeah, but that's like digging something up and then,
Well, again,
a
if this is,
campfire, you know, it's like, okay, I just,
that's a one-time
Yeah,
deal,
yeah.
but,
all of this seems
If
one
they-
time, yeah, okay.
well, but
I mean,
there,
what
if they
I think
violate,
the only time that would be multiple
there's
would be, sorry, would be for dumping?
if there's more than one violation, then
Mhm,
each
riding
one.
their bike
is
with
so
their
that's
dog.
why $100 per
Is that
day per
$200?
violation.
Like their dog while smoking a cigarette.
Like smoking a cigarette.
I'm sorry,
Is that $300? That's just,
Right, and it's
Yeah.
up to, so it's not necessarily you're always gonna do this. It's like if there, to me, it's like if there's someone that's really like out there smoking a cigarette with their dog and they're like riding a bike and they're
Yeah,
like making a
right.
fire, then maybe we
to
should.
me, the deterrent is in the language and how it's written, to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Alright.
read that and say, oh, I'm gonna follow this, because the deterrent is in the language, is how it's written,
Okay,
so.
sure,
So up to $100 per day per violation.
sure.
That's
go ahead.
scary.
Yeah, that's very scary.
So you
Doug
got-
was
you got
watching at
10,
home will love it.
you got 10, 12 things there, and they, if somebody's doing something, they could be violating more than one
Yeah.
of those
That's a big,
do not do.
Sure.
yeah, I think the language is important, because that's the deterrent, right?
So I'm hearing consistently
Yeah, sure, yeah,
$100 per day per violation.
sure.
Sure.
Okay,
Do you
Sarah,
want to vote on that?
well, no, but this
Up
one,
to you, Chair.
so,
I just
um,
wanted to be clear.
I would say,
this was pointed out, by Sarah, that we,
honestly, where I see.
be consistent with either capital N-O or capital N lowercase o. So one way or another,
Be consistent.
yeah, so either it's
Okay, yeah.
giant no's or smaller ones.
Yelling at you,
Yeah.
yos, or just
And I
scolding you.
Or just proper English.
Yeah, and
Capitalizing.
also, of course, I think I don't think we have any periods at the end of anything, so that should, and respect the neighbors is good on this other page.
I was
Yeah,
actually
that's
wondering if someone who's
The neighbors would like that.
well-versed in English is gonna read this as prohibited activities, which is a negative, and then the list being negative. Does that mean,
Go for
It's
it.
fine, it's
I
fine.
think this is from other signs
Yeah.
that are out there in our list.
That
so.
they have.
It's
yeah.
good.
I'm assuming. My mother was an editor,
Would
so sometimes I think this way.
prohibitions be better English?
What is that?
Yeah.
Prohibitions.
No. What do you mean prohibition? Used how?
As a noun.
As a noun, instead of an adjective
I'm
to
not sure we're-
activities.
I don't think it really matters.
Prohibited
This is just me being
Yeah.
an English nerd now, wondering if that's correct.
This is consistent with other signs, though. I mean, yeah.
I have one consideration,
What?
respect our neighbors versus
Yes.
the neighbors. A little more
Yes, I
community
like that.
feeling.
Sure.
I don't know.
That's important.
I'm sure,
so-
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Sure,
So,
that's nice.
Whatever.
So on the second sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect our
Putting
neighbors.
here, our neighbors.
Our. Yeah. The neighbors will like that.
If they're nice to us.
Which they are, always nice. Thank you, neighbors, to our property on North Street. Okay, so this is the main sign, and then the other, these ones will be one at Adams Farm at the White Gate, and then down by the trail.
Okay.
And the safety signs have been ordered by the DPW. And then I'll talk to Neponset about ordering the other signs for their property line.
Can we talk about this thing?
Along those, before we get off this, the Friends of Adams Farm has planned for a music at the barn, which is free, and I don't know who is all's gonna be there, but it's free to attend. And including additional activities, which will include some walks, guided tours to the,
Will it,
New trail.
to
yeah,
the,
yeah.
to
through the
the,
new trail?
along the new trail down to the area in the peninsula,
Great,
When is
And October 4th.
October
Oh, okay,
that's
4th,
great.
11 to 3. Can I address that as well?
I was just gonna say, there will
Boardwalk.
also include some activity or participation with NEPRA, so you wanna fill that in?
Correct. We're actually going to facilitate the tours. Roy has asked for support with that.
Okay.
So we're looking at doing 3 to 4 tours at different times throughout the event.
Yeah, there'll be other, I think we're looking at a hayride
Oh,
potentially, and,
An educational
things.
component, yeah.
so, it should be, so just do, it could be the formal dedication of whatever
Yeah, I
we're
was wondering
doing
if
with
you
the
wanted to have
trail.
some kind of
A
dedication.
ta-da.
But
That's what Roy said.
Gary needs to coordinate with getting the boardwalk done too.
yeah, I hope
Yeah,
Gary-
I've gotta talk to him, and I don't know how, I guess he's moving along, but I don't know
Okay.
where he is. I know he's talked to Jim Thomas about doing it, but I don't know at what stage he's at.
Okay, yeah, I talked to him, and I thought he was at the stage of ordering the material. I haven't gotten a receipt or anything yet, so.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
that's why I wanted to talk to him, if he was gonna deliver the material to the barn, or what he's gonna do. So, but I just keep that in mind, that the October 4th would be a good time to, anything we were planning to do, recognizing this, that would be the date.
Okay.
Okay. No, yes, you had,
Well, no, Landis passed this out. I had a couple of questions, but this is from correspondence.
This is in my report. It's not on the agenda, but it's
Yeah.
in my conservation report
Right.
under correspondence, so therefore we can talk about it.
Therefore, we can talk about it?
yeah,
Yeah, okay, okay.
And Mr. Petrosi has already somewhat alluded to it in his request
Yeah.
for the sidewalk. This was a request that came in from him via email correspondence, telling the commission that he was going to clear some portion of lot of 9 Pinnacle. and that would include some trees. And I pressed him on well, first I told him that any activity within the riverfront area, the commission considers not to do it. And then he came back and said, well, it's outside the buffer zone and it's in the area that he believes is okay. And then I asked him to provide a plan of the area that he was going to clear, and he provided the plan, which does show the recommended final decision area from the judge, which is the plan that you have. And the front portion on Pinnacle is the area that he said he wants to cut some trees and stuff.
Okay, so my question is, probably the answer is no, but can we then hold him to this? I mean, it's sort of like, okay, here, you wrote historic mill exemption, so are you agreeing that this one area? I mean,
I don't.
I think that goes a little beyond the conversation
I was
we
just
should have
wondering-
right now,
okay.
because that's kind of a legal question.
well, yeah.
I would say no at this point, because he's put a filing in front of us
Yeah,
that, which we have to look at and use that as our discussion and decisions.
yeah.
But,
So this is the area where the foundation,
Yeah.
concrete foundations are,
Yeah.
which he has kind of consistently wanted to clear out over the years, for various reasons.
so you're looking for a site visit? Is this-
So he requested a site visit, he thought it would be good, and I agree, for our new commissioners to take a look at this site. This is another very long-spanning, complicated application before the Conservation Commission. So
Coming in through Rose Court this time.
I believe that we would be able to, we can double-check with Mr. Petrosi that now he has purchase and sales agreement for those strips of land off of Riverwalk Commons, Rose Court, that we should be
Okay.
able to go in.
Going that way?
Yeah.
Okay, what, do you want to do it like 5 o'clock, while we have daylight, or do you want to make it a Saturday?
Depends on which
Well,
day.
I have-
Are you looking at us?
I live within walking distance, so. So either way works for me.
I usually go into the city Monday through Thursday.
So yeah, Saturday works for me if we want to do this on a Saturday. Like I said, just let me know where to meet you all, because I literally live a couple blocks over, so.
Okay, I'm gonna be away the 3rd and the 10th.
So there's a couple
And
ways
it's,
you can do that.
yeah.
You can have a formal site visit if it's going to be 4 members or more. We have to post it 48 hours in advance. Or you can just go and visit the site. If you want to contact me, I'd be happy to meet you out there. You're allowed to go onto a site once a notice of intent is filed.
Have you've been on that trail before, right?
I've been on the trail before, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I've been down there as well.
but, yeah, so I could go pretty much. I don't know if you want to go out there on a weekend or if you would rather do it, like,
When is that on the agenda next? Is that May 28th?
May 28th.
Okay, whatever you want to do, the only Saturday I have between now and then is the 24th of May.
Same here. That's the only Saturday I have.
okay, I could do that.
And I will be away, but you guys could still go out there. I would just say, if you go out there, it's a.
It's Memorial Day weekend though, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure it's free.
I was
So
gonna say,
can we
it seems
go
like
on a
I'm the only one
weekday?
that has the challenge, so why don't you
Can
all
we go
go
on a
when you
weekend,
can,
a
and I can
weekday?
just go if I want to.
Did you say a
whatever.
weekday at 5 or so? Was that the
Um,
other?
Can I just ask what we're gonna be seeing, because we've just established we've all been on this trail, I mean, it's a trail. I mean, it's not a nice one,
Right.
and you enter it through Rose Court, that's the most interesting part. So what is it that we're supposed to be seeing? I'm just wondering if, it's not exactly an unknown site to us.
Right, so if the commissioners feel that they have seen the site, or you can go off on your own and take a look,
Right.
then that's.
I mean, I'll look
that's
at it
your
again.
decision.
I can go off on my own and take a look at it. If there's
think that
anything in
might be-
particular that you would like me to,
Yeah, so the big controversy is the area where there's clearly a concrete pad,
Yeah,
that's historic.
that's the,
It's an area where the mill was, then there's a big question of when it burned down, it has to be before, is it 1986 or 1995? 1996. But anyway, that concrete pad, have a look at it, but you've seen it, I suspect, it's pretty unpleasant looking. And then after that, you've got kind of a sometimes muddy trail that goes up and down. And that is something that Lou would like to include as historic mill complex. That's a bit of a controversy.
The judge, in his decision, which I guess he wrote it, but it has to come out from a DEP commissioner, so it's sitting there someplace, ready to get issued. The judge overruled the DEP decision. It said the whole property was part of the mill complex. The judge just said only that area that's covered by the concrete pad. Our position was none of it was, because the mill had burned down. And that's why we denied the original
There's a cutoff date.
request.
Yeah.
And it was appealed, DEP overruled our decision, and then we appealed that. So it's now the judge's decision, which, if the applicant doesn't like that, he can then, he can still, he has another avenue of appeal, I think,
he can go Superior
if he
Court.
wanted to. But, so that's where, as it stands right now, and waiting for, the thing is, he's made the decision, it just has not come out formally from the DEP commissioner.
Right, so it's a recommended final decision by the presiding judge. And it goes to DEP commissioner. DEP commissioner just formalizes it. And that's what hasn't happened yet.
but yeah, I can definitely take a look
I don't know
down
why
that trail
it's,
again, but you all don't necessarily need to come now that I know what I'm,
I think I agree, because we actually have had a couple of site visits, not to mention just walking on the
Oh,
trail all by
we've been there
ourselves.
many times, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so everybody just go on their own, and if you have a question,
So I'll let them know that you guys are just gonna go out on your own, and, thank you for thinking of site visit, so you just have a visual of what's out there.
Yep.
Okay,
you know, the one thing you can keep in mind as you go down the trail, if you've been down there, is that the old swimming area, the stone foundation for that is still there.
Yeah, which you
So
probably
it would give you some idea when you can probably tell where the stone, the concrete foundation
Yeah, you
ends,
can.
more or less.
we're
I
okay.
think that's probably easy to do. But just to give you another location as you're looking around, because he has extended in the application way beyond that
swimming area,
swimming area.
yeah.
So, and the trail, I guess it terminates at
Yeah.
private, so-called private property, which I think we need to do a little
Yeah.
more work on that issue.
So when you're walking down the site, the proposal for the houses that's before us goes all the way down to where I think it should still be a wetlands, blue wetlands flag, that's the, he wants to fill in a portion of that. So as you're walking along, you can kind of visualize in your head that it'll be townhouses all along, all
on
the way
that.
down to where that wetlands finger comes up on the property. And if anyone wants me to come out with them, just let me know.
Okay. Anything else on, what else we got here?
I think that is it. So we just have one thing on the agenda for May 14th, and that is Jen Star. And I will also, we can discuss the Turner Pond management plan. So it should be a
Okay.
short meeting, unless if we get requests for certificates of compliance or any little things that'll go on the agenda.
All right, I move we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are we off?